back to We Are the Hansons. Today we're diving into a big topic that every family eventually faces. What happens when siblings grow up and move out? Now, in a family as big as ours, this is something we've had to navigate more than once, and honestly, it never really gets easier. There's this mix of pride, sadness, excitement, and sometimes even a little chaos. So today, I want to share my thoughts on how our family has handled it, how it's impacted our kids, and some of the things we've learned along the way. When you have a full house, you get used to the noise, the energy, just the general presence of everyone around. And then suddenly, one of them is gone. Whether they're leaving for college, work, or just to start their own life, that first empty room feels like a punch to the gut. For our younger siblings, it's a huge adjustment. They've spent their whole lives looking up to their older brothers and sisters. Now that person isn't there every day, I've seen my kids go through this. Sometimes they're excited for their siblings to be moving. Sometimes they feel left behind. And sometimes they don't know how to process it all. For us as parents, it's weird. It's that weird mix of emotions, too. On one hand, you want them to grow up and become independent and chase their dreams. But on the other hand, there's this quiet little ache because it's the end of an era. One of the biggest things we've tried to do is make sure our family stays close, even after someone moves out. We try to still continue get-togethers. We try to still do things as a family with all of us. And, life gets busy, but we encourage the phone calls, video chats, and visits whenever possible. Just because we want that connection with our children and we want our children to be connected to each other. A lot of people assume that once a kid moves out, they're gone. But that's not really true. If you've built a strong family foundation, they're still part of the fabric that is at home. It's different in a way, is pretty much what it is. We've had to learn to be intentional about keeping the connection. Sometimes that means, having group chats that never stop buzzing. Sometimes it's planning family nights when they all come back home or we all meet at one of their houses. And sometimes it's just making sure that they know that no matter how far they go, they always have a home with us. I want my kids to feel that because them knowing that our home is always open and they can always come back to visit, even if they needed a place to stay, our door would always be open. This is home. This is where they were raised. It makes them feel comfortable and wanted, knowing that they have that if they need it. I think the younger kids have the hardest time with it. One day their older sibling is there to help with homework, to argue over the remote, or just to be a constant part of their life. The next day, they're packing up their things and moving on. They see that, and it does take a toll on them. I remember one of my kids struggling when the older sibling left, and still to this day, In fact, my daughter Madison, she's kind of emotional when it comes to her siblings leaving, especially ones that she's close to. I would say Madison and Gavin have become really close this year, closer than they used to be. And Gavin will be moving out in May after he graduates. And Madison came in the other night, and I thought she was just coming in to give me a hug goodnight. And when she lay down to hug me, she's making this noise. I could tell that she was crying. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I don't want Gavin to move out." And I was like, "Maddie, he's not going to be that far away, and he's got till May. I mean, he graduates and he's already moving. It's not like we're never going to see him again. You can either go there every weekend or every other weekend as long as we don't have stuff going on, or he can come see us. It's not like we're that far away, and it's not like we're never going to see him again." And she said, "But me and Gavin just started getting close this year, and I'm not going to see him as much." I'm like, "You will see him, honey." When kids grow up and move out, we as parents are sad, but we also want to see them start their own life and their own journey and see what we've taught them, how they use that, and how, they raise their own family. It's hard for you to tell your younger kids that because they don't care about what their siblings are going to do for work or anything like that. They just want to be able to see them every single day and know that they're going to be coming through that door at night or they get done with work. So that's a big struggle for my Madison. And I know the other kids are sad too, but I think it's just when you become close to somebody, even though all our kids are pretty close, you always have that one sibling that you're closer to. And Madison is closer to Gavin now. And then I remember when Morgan moved out to go to college, the kids were really sad then too. Why does Morgan have to leave? And it was mostly the littler ones because they didn't understand that when you hit an age and you start living your own life, you want your own space. You want your own privacy. Moving out and starting your own life and your own journeys. They don't understand that. They just want them to be present all the time. It was still a struggle, but, they get used to it. It does take time, and they always ask questions like, when is Morgan coming home? Or when are we ever going to see Colin? Or are Keenan and Tristan coming over today? Or, it's always that constant question. And eventually it starts to fade because they see them coming over and they see them constantly. And then they realize, oh, so we are going to see them and they will be over more and stuff like that. So it does get easier, especially if you can see your kids. Our kids in Wisconsin, we don't get to see very often. We do call them, video chat them, but it's definitely not the same. We make sure the kids can talk to them. We reassure them that their bigger brother or their bigger sister still loves them. And we involve them in things like video chats, and you want to call them, you can call them, stuff like that. So that does make it a lot easier. This part is hard. When they're little, you're involved in everything as a parent. From what they eat to what they wear or how they spend their days. And then suddenly They're making big life choices on their own. And for me as a parent, I try and give advice and make sure I'm leading them in the right path. And we can give our kids advice daily. It doesn't mean they're going to take our advice. We hope they do. And for the most part, I think our kids are pretty good about taking me and their dad's advice. But they also want to adventure and see on their own. So regardless if we give them the advice and we hope they take it, it's up to them to make that step and move to do what they feel is best for them. I've had to remind myself that my job isn't to control their life, but to support them as they figure things out. That doesn't mean I don't worry or that I don't have my opinions. I definitely do, but it does mean I have to trust that we as parents raise them well enough to make good choices. And you know what? Seeing them thrive out there in the world is, one of the best feelings that I feel. Even though we miss them like crazy, there's nothing like watching them step into adulthood with confidence. And sometimes I think to myself, as they grow up, you can tell which ones are going to not mess around and take things as a joke moving out into adulthood, and which ones are going to be serious and follow in your footsteps as parents. You hope and pray that they make the best choices and stuff and take your advice, but they do have to learn on their own. We can only hope that they listened. As parents, me and my husband pray every single day for all of our children to succeed, and we hope our kids will do better than us. And most parents, most good parents, I should say, want to see their kids do better than them. And that's what me and my husband hope. We want to see them do better than us. We want them to take pride in everything they do in life. We gave them the advice, and it's up to them to run with it. One thing we've learned is that moving out doesn't always mean forever either. Because sometimes your children come back, whether it's for a visit, for holidays, or even just something that life throws at them, like a curveball, and they need a safe place to land. Our doors are always open for our kids, and they know that. Every single one of them. Maybe a relationship change and it didn't work out and they need to come home. My door is open. We will make room in our home for our children. We've always told our kids that our home is their home, no matter how old they get. And if they need to come back, whether it's for a weekend or a few months or whatnot, our door is open to them. I would never let my kids go with no home. They will always have a home here at home. And they know that. It's almost like Morgan. She was staying with her boyfriend and she wanted to switch schools. And so her college is in Springfield. So she moved home so she could be closer to college. It has worked out good for her because, one, she has a place to lay her head. She don't have to spend a lot on groceries or living expenses. When the roads are bad, she doesn't have to travel 45 minutes to get to class on bad roads. Granted, most of the time the schools close, but sometimes the colleges don't close, even though the high school, middle school, and elementary do. So there have been days that she had to go to school, even in bad weather. And it's a 10-minute ride to school. So I don't have to worry about her going too far on bad roads. And if she ever needed a ride, we could always get her there or get her home if she did not want to drive. So it's pretty good for us and for her as well. Colin has came home and stayed until he got on his feet. And guess what? Every single one of our kids know that our door is open for them, and they don't hesitate to say, hey, can I stay by you? It's easy. We will make room regardless of how big our house is. We'll find a way, and we always do. And our kids know that, and it's comforting to them. And a lot of times we will have family night and our kids are coming home. We watch movies, we play games, we have a good dinner, and we just all hang out and chit chat and enjoy each other's company. And our kids hang out together. Over this weekend, the kids went and played basketball together. Madison, Tristan, Keenan, Colin, they went by their cousins. Gavin hung out with Maddie. You know, they all are close, and it makes this mama heart happy to see that. I am so proud of every one of our kids. So when they move out, when they grow up, I know they're not going far, and I know we're going to see them often. Granted, it's a little harder for the kids in Wisconsin, but video and phone calls. And 99% of the time, we see the kids that live around us here in Missouri daily, if not every other day. So it's not like it's super bad. And the younger ones are starting to get used to that because they know that they're going to see them more often than they thought. So it's a little bit better. Now, when Morgan decided that she wanted to go to college out of state, everyone was sad, and we tried to convince her not to go, and we did a dang good job of convincing her to stay close to home because I was worried about her going far away and something bad happening, and I'd get that horrible phone call that no parent wants to get, and I just wouldn't have been able to handle it, and nor would my husband, Jeremy. It would just have been horrible for us. Good for her because she wanted to go to a college out of state, but not so good for us. There is that. At the end of the day, you know, watching siblings grow up and move out is hard, but it also is such a beautiful part of life. It means they're growing, learning, and stepping into who they're meant to be. It's bittersweet, but if we do it right, if we stay connected, keep communications open, and let love be the foundation, then we don't really lose them. Our family just grows in a new way. That's all for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you want to send me a message, you can send me a message on our Facebook page, We Are the Hansons, or you can email me at wearethehansonsshow@gmail.com, and please go over and subscribe to our We Are the Hansons YouTube channel. Until next time, take care, and remember, you're always a part of this crazy, beautiful family.